This video is actually one of the best tips that I can give you when it comes to living or operating in a Spanish-speaking country, and that is to always arrive prepared. Now, what I mean by that is that you should always take the opportunity to research in advance the phrases, vocabulary, or verbs that you'll need before you arrive into a speaking situation. So, as an example, let's say that your neighbor is in your parking space and you know that you want to ask them to move their car. So before you knocked on the door, you would have already prepared phrases, words, and vocabulary that you think or that you anticipate you're going to need. So let's imagine that in that scenario, this was more or less what you intended to say when they opened the door. What you want to do is to check to make sure that you know the vocabulary in this short paragraph, and if there's any grammatical points that you need to work out in advance as well. So the first line is pretty simple, but you might say or check that to make sure that you know the word for neighbor, which is vecino or vecina. Then we have this modal verb, so I just bought, acabo de comprar, and the word for apartment. Also the numbers here, 201. Then we have this phrase, it seems that your car is parked in my parking space. So you want to make sure that you understand, or you know how to say parked, and that you know the word for parking space in Spanish. Also the verb to move it. This is what I mean by arriving prepared, that you don't just blindly go into the situation without having first worked out all of the vocabulary and phrases in advance. What I'd like you to do now is to pause the video and to write out or to simply say out loud how you would express this paragraph to someone. It could be something like this. Hola, buenos días. Me llamo Paul. Or you could also say mi nombre es Paul y soy tu vecino. This was another thing that we should have worked out in advance, right? Whether we're going to use ser or estar for I'm your neighbor. Acabo de comprar departamento 201 y parece que tu carro o tu camioneta o tu coche está estacionado en mi lugar. ¿Puedes moverlo, por favor? In this phrase here, there are a number of different ways that you could express this. This was simply the way that I went with, but there are certainly other ways that you could express this idea of that your car is parked in my parking space. Here I simplified it and I just said your car is parked in my place. Another example is that you could have, say, an appliance at home that's broken and you intend to make a telephone call to someone to repair it. So let's say that you know that the guy's name is Jose and it's your washing machine that's broken. So again, how are you going to explain the situation and what you want to do? You would think it out and prepare it in advance of the telephone call. So we have, hello, can I speak to Jose, please? And then obviously they'll say, either I'll get him or this is Jose. You say hello and then you'd like to know if they could come and check the washing machine because it's making a strange noise and there's a lot of vibration, and that the brand is this, and you could even have the model number if you wanted to, but this would all be worked out in advance. So again, pause and try to figure out how you would say this if this was a real life situation. You might decide to go with something like this. Hola, ¿puedo comunicarme con José, por favor? Notice that here I used comunicarme because this is what I hear a lot of native speakers saying. However, you could also equally say, Hola, ¿puedo hablar con José, por favor? And obviously, when you're talking to him directly, you say, Hola, José, me gustaría saber si puedes venir para checar mi lavadora. And then you go on to describe, me está haciendo un ruido raro y hay mucha vibración. La marca es Samsung. Notice that I've kept it as simple as possible, and this again is always very good advice. Say what you want to say, but work out the most direct and simplest way to achieve that. In our third example, I'm imagining that we want to open up a bank account, but that we have some specific questions to ask about it. So again, I would formulate in my mind more or less what it is that I want to say, and then I would go through and make sure that I was equipped with all the vocabulary, verbs and phrases that I needed to express these things. So here I have, hello, I'd like to open an account, please. Can you tell me what I need to bring? And if it's possible for the account to accept both US dollars and pesos, because I'm retired and I want to receive my pension here. So you need to make sure that all the verbs, phrases, and vocabulary are pre-prepared. Again, pause and try to work out how you would say this in real life. So it might go like this. Hola, me gustaría abrir una cuenta, por favor. ¿Puedes decirme qué necesito traer? Y si es posible que la cuenta acepte ambos dólares y pesos, porque estoy retirado o retirada y quiero recibir mi pensión aquí. This one was a little bit tricky because we had to go into the subjunctive, which we haven't learned in the course yet. But I hope that you were more or less able to make a decent effort with this type of paragraph. So back to the point of all of this is that you don't want to walk into situations blindly and simply hope for the best. If you have a chance to prepare in advance, then do it. Go prepared and arm yourself with what you'll need. You'll probably experience a lot less stress this way, and it will give your Spanish a wonderful boost because it's great for your confidence, and it's also a great way to prove to yourself that you're able to take care of yourself in a foreign country quite well. Always arrive prepared.